Welcome, everyone. We are so glad that you are joining us. And I'm very excited to introduce our guest, John Lockley. John Lockley is a senior Sangoma, which means African shaman, a therapist, and a diviner. And he's from the Xhosa nation or culture in South Africa. John, we are so glad to have you. It's a pleasure.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
So I'm really excited to dive into, your wisdom today. And I want to start with asking you, can you speak to us about dreams and their importance to Sangoma, especially for connecting to Ubuntu, which is humanity and our ancestors?
Yes, well, dreams are a gateway to the spirit world, and they're a gateway to our soul and our ancestors. So our soul is that part of us that doesn't die. Our physical body moves and dies, but our spirit carries on into the other world. So as we connect to our spirit, we connect to our immortality, and we connect to that unfathomable space, which we can call the dream time or the great mystery. So it's very important for us as Sangomas to connect to our dreams so that we are connected to our vitality. So we are connected to our human spirit. And in South Africa, amongst traditional people, especially amongst the Sangomas and also traditional elders, it's seen as very important to dream. And if you don't dream, then it's important to go and see a Sangoma who can help you to dream. And the reason for that is that they say that if you don't dream, then you're not connected to your spirit. And if you're not connected to your spirit, then you're not connected to your humanity. And if that's the case, then you're going to be a possible disturbing influence on your community because you're not going to be coming from that place of empathy and humanity. So if someone's not dreaming, it's seen as an important step to go and get help with that and to bring your dreams back, not just for you, but also for the circle of life, which we call Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is an old Southern African word, and it means humanity, but it also means that connection to our ancestors and the connection to the circle of life, to the plant and animal worlds. And that process of connecting to Ubuntu is a decision that everyone makes. And that first decision is to connect to your spirit. So to want to connect to your immortality, to want to connect to your spirit or your soul. And once you make that decision, then something starts shifting in terms of alchemy inside of you. And sometimes it brings up old feelings and hurts and old karmas. And then the next gate is the decision to connect to your roots, to connect to your ancestors. And those are your blood and bone ancestors. And then the next is connecting to adopted ancestors or lineage keepers or wisdom keepers. And then finally, we look up and we connect to the Great Spirit. And as we do that and we make peace with that, then we make peace with our humanity and one another. And once that is complete, or once that is being recognized, then we can turn in the circle and face the natural world and start to do our job in terms of helping the natural world. But right now, as we know, the human race, people are fighting with one another, and there's great discord. And as we are fighting, the wilderness is dying outside, the environment is dying. So it's very important that as human beings, we make peace with one another so that we can actually go about the business of being a human being, which is to help the environment.
I love that. Going about the business of being a human being, which is to heal the
Yes,
environment.
yes.
Yeah.
And in terms of dreams, I have one one story I could share, which is a beautiful story, and it was actually the first Sangoma teaching I received at the age of 18 in the South African Army. I was a conscripted medic, and I was drafted into the military at the end of apartheid. And at that time, there was also a war in Angola that had been going for 10 years, and that war just ended. So my first assignment as a military medic was working in this military hospital, and my job was to help rehabilitate soldiers. And most of the soldiers in my ward were special forces soldiers. So every day I would go into this one particular ward that was for black soldiers. So because it was apartheid, it was segregated. So everyone got the same treatment, but there was different rooms depending on the color of your skin, because it was apartheid. So the ward that I used to go into, or the room I used to go into every day, was the room with these special forces soldiers, and most of them were, well, all of them were African soldiers. And I used to go into their room, and I used to open the curtain, and I said, "Good morning, guys. Did you have any good dreams?" Now, I don't know why I did that, and I don't know why I did it to this group of soldiers, but for some reason I just did, and I didn't get a response from any of the soldiers. They all kept quiet, and then I did it the second day. I walked into their room, I opened the curtains, and I said, "Good morning, guys. Did you have any good dreams?" And everyone kept quiet. It was like a church. And then I thought, well, coming from an Irish background, it's good to do things in threes. So I did it for the third time. I walked into the room and I opened the curtains on the third day. And then I said, "Good morning, guys. Did you have any good dreams?" And the whole room was full with soldiers. I think it must have been about at least 15 soldiers. And everyone kept quiet. And then suddenly there was a voice at the back of the ward, and it was a sergeant from the Special Forces Battalion, a very well-known sergeant and highly respected. And he said, "Medic, come over here. I want to speak to you." So then I walked over to his bedside and I said, "Yes, Sergeant, sir, how can I help you?" And he said, "In my culture, dreams are very sacred. When I dream, my ancestors show me who's going to live and who's going to die in my platoon. I tell my men, this is your time. You need to be aware that your ancestors are calling you. Some of them laugh at me, but they still die. Please don't ever ask me again if I've had any good dreams. In my culture, dreams are very sacred." And I said, thank you, Sergeant, sir. Now, Sergeant Ndlovu was his name, and he was in the process of becoming a Sangoma in the Zulu tribe, the Zulu nation in South Africa. And every day the black nursing staff would come to him. And I say black because white culture and white people were not really aware of the Sangoma culture or respectful towards it. But when it came to the African culture, the black culture, they were extremely, extremely respectful. So every day the black nurses would come and give him gifts and accolades. And I could feel this. I could feel he had some special energy. And when he said this to me, I realized that there was something happening to me, because I also was receiving these powerful dreams. And I felt that what he had shown, what he had said to me was very, very important. And that was my first Sangoma teaching, like I say. And then 6 months later, 3 to 6 months later, I started my own calling through dreams.
And we are so grateful that you said yes to that call. And I want to continue a little bit deeper with this. John, you wrote Leopard Warrior, and you also have audio teachings, The Way of the Leopard, and they're both published by Sounds True. And in your book, you speak about 3 different levels of dreams. For those who haven't read those books or maybe listened to your teachings, Can you please talk about this, highlighting the third level where you mentioned prophetic dreams and also you mentioned entering the shamanic world of dream time?
Yes. So, firstly, the most important thing is that you remember your dreams. And I don't want people to worry about the levels too much because, like all dreams, it all comes in like a circle. So, sometimes dreaming is not a linear process, it's more like a circular or a spiral process. And so sometimes we might have a level 1, level 2, and a level 3 dream all in the same dream. It's like a mandala. So the first level of dreaming, actually, I can just go back and just say it's important to be aware of what kind of dreams you're having so that you can become aware of what calling you're receiving from life and from the spirit world, because everyone is called to nature, called to life, and it's important to have an understanding of what your purpose is and what your calling is. So the first level of dreaming is basically the level of the mundane, and it refers to where you remember that you're dreaming, and you remember that you're dreaming maybe you're fixing your computer or going shopping or looking for a pair of shoes, and maybe it's very clear, but when you wake up, there's no big electricity. It's just a sense of what you are doing during the day is being reflected at night. So there's no aha moment. So that's level 1. And now level 2 is more of the psychological level. And sometimes it involves repeating past hurts and traumas and re-experiencing them. And it's a way that the mind heals itself. It's the way that the spirit heals. So you might remember when you are stressed or anxious, you might have a repetitive dream where you are reliving your exams at school or your final exams, or you might be reliving doing your driver's license or something that was stressful but also very important for you. And when you are experiencing stress or anxiety, you have these repetitive dreams. Now, if you have a lot of these dreams in terms of a level 2 dream, where you wake up with a lot of emotion and psychological pain, then it's very helpful to go and get help with a counselor, therapist, or someone who can help you with your emotional body. Because if you don't, then it could be blocking you in some way. So that's level 2, the level of emotions and psychology, and where we relive our personal story, and our emotional body is given a chance to heal itself, but also show where it's hurting. So that's level 2, and it's often dealing with our ego and our story in the world, which, as we know in many spiritual traditions, we have to let go our story in order to reclaim our spirit and our soul. So then the third level of dreaming is the level of the mystical. It's the level of the shaman. It's the level of prophecy and intuition and psychic events. And in those dreams, they're a little bit different. So when you have a dream that is a third level dream, often there's a sense of electricity going up and down your spine. There might just be one image, but that image might be loaded with energy. It might be a few different images or scenes, and maybe you are shown past events, maybe you're shown someone else's life, maybe you're shown different people, animals. But how you know it's a third level is you feel your spine, you feel that sense of electricity around you. And when you wake up, you feel like you've touched something very awesome or awe-inspiring. And sometimes these third level dreams are so strong and they've got so much heightened consciousness in them, you might feel that it's more real than this waking state. So it's like very lucid, a heightened sense of awareness, heightened sense of consciousness in that one moment, bam. And like I said, it might just be one voice, it might be an image, it might be various images, but the sense is feeling your spine and feeling that you've touched another world. So sometimes I like to describe it as sometimes when I've had these dreams, I will wake up and I will feel like I'm a billionaire. Okay. I'll feel very abundant inside. I'll feel like this incredible richness that I've touched something indescribable in terms of abundance. So that's so those are some of the characteristics of the third level dream, and why it's important, because as we connect to that dream time space, we are connecting to our soul, we are connecting to our potential in the world, our human potential. And as we connect with that, and then we bring it forth into the waking state, then we start to bring more soul into the world, more soul, more consciousness into the world. So right now, it's very important that people remember their dreams, not just for them, but for all of us. So let's say I have a powerful dream, which has happened to me many times in my life. I've been very lucky. But if I don't do anything with that dream, so let's say I'm shown something, and I can give an example of dreams where I've been shown someone is very sick, and I might be shown what the illness is. Now, if I don't take action with what I'm seeing in that dream, then the karma of that person is going to click in, and there's nothing I can do to help them. But if I've been shown how to help them and I do nothing, then it's like I'm not following my dream. I'm not following my calling. So there's been a few instances where I have been shown someone who's sick and how to help them, and I've been able to change their karma in terms of they don't get sick and die earlier. They're able to live, and they're able to bring forth other gifts into the world. But now I just want to say it's not me, though. Okay, it's not me. It's the message from the spirits and ancestors going through me. The only decision I need to make is to go and speak to that person or bring that dream into the world and manifest it. So sometimes people will have powerful dreams, but they don't manifest the dreams. They don't bring the dreams into the world. So it might be that you might be receiving a dream that you need to go on pilgrimage, or you need to travel to another country. Like I dreamt about going to America, New York, in fact, when I was living in Ireland many years ago. And I just remember in the dream, looking at all these skyscrapers and feeling I'm in New York City from what I could see in the pictures and movies, and I could feel this incredible energy. And then when I woke up, I felt this is where I need to go. I need to listen to the dream, and I need to go to New York City. And so that was part of my mission plan. And then I made I saved some money, and then I actually went to New York. So I was following that dream. Now, if I didn't do that, I don't know if I would have got my book published in the US. And a lot of things I know probably wouldn't have happened. So this process of knowing what kind of dream you're receiving and then taking some action in the physical world so that that dream from the spirit world can be grounded into the waking state. And as we do that, we help one another and we bring more soul into the world. And what is soul? But soul is consciousness. Soul is energy. You can say soul is love, but it's much bigger than that. It's hard to describe, but soul is its sense of electricity, a sense of wakefulness, a sense of magic. Magic is soul.
Wow, such a beautiful answer. And I feel so much hope listening to you describe all this, and also a sense of empowerment, right? We have the power to become aware of our dreams, and also we have permission to take action when it comes to our dreams. I've been curious, John, why do you refer to your teachings as the way of the leopard? Could you please tell us?
Yes, sure. Well, the way of the leopard is I use the leopard because amongst traditional healers in South Africa, the leopard is revered as a very powerful spirit animal because the leopard is connected to all its senses. It's connected to all six senses, and every sense is very much awake, like lightning, like a lightning rod. There's a sense of intuitive intelligence that the leopard represents. So statespeople in Africa for centuries, kings, herbalists, healers, they've all had leopard skin around their shoulders. Now, this is not a real leopard skin. This is a fake one. But that sense of having leopard skin or even fake leopard skin in your divining room is seen as is very important because you want your consciousness and you want your spirit to be married to the natural world like the leopard is. So the leopard represents nobility of spirit. And as we wear the leopard skin, then we are reminded of our duties as human beings to wake up and connect to all our 6 and 7 senses. So I say 7 senses because the leopard has 6 senses. Human being has a 7th sense. And that 7th sense is the sense of manifestation, being able to manifest and bring forth change in the world because we've got 2 hands and because we walk upright. And just the way we are, we can have a dream, for example, about helping a leopard. And then we wake up the next morning and we go to that particular place where we dreamt about the leopard and we leave some food and we leave something for it. And in so doing, we can save the animal's life. So that's the 7th sense that we have as human beings. And it's the sense of manifestation. And it's a huge responsibility. And it's a responsibility that all of us as human beings need to sit up to and face that. So old kings and queens and statespeople and healers in Africa for centuries have revered the leopard for its nobility and its uncanny intuitive intelligence. And while we have the skin near us, we are constantly reminded of our duty to connect to the leopard spirit and also to connect to our own, which is pointing at our interrelationship with the environment and the animal and plant worlds. So first we connect to our ancestors on our own soul and spirit through our dreams and through ritual and ceremony. And then we face outwards and we connect to the animal and plant worlds. I hope I explained that correctly.
So beautiful. And when you were speaking, it was like being in a vision, actually seeing it happen. And I love what you said about the 7th sense of humanity, which is manifestation, which is really that responsibility that we have to make the world a better place. And John, I know that you're very passionate about this because you run rewilding retreats in South Africa, and they're called Dreams and Tracking in the Kalahari, and also Leopard Warrior Trails. And could you tell us what the focus of teachings is in these retreats, and what is the goal?
Yes, the focus of these retreats is to bring modern people into Africa, into the wilderness, and to teach them indigenous skills so that they can connect to their ancestors, so that they can connect to their spirit and their dreams, and so they can also connect to the natural world. So these retreats I work on these retreats in 2 ways. So it's inner and outer tracking. So the inner tracking part is what I teach as a medicine man, as a Sangoma. So I'll teach people how to connect to their ancestors, how to connect to their spirit and their soul, and how to connect more to their dreams. And then I'll also use plant medicine to wash them and cleanse them so that they are ready for dreaming. Now, I say plant medicine, it's non-hallucinogenic plant medicine, because those are most of the plants that we work with in Southern Africa is non-hallucinogenic. So I'll bring people in from all over the world, mostly from urban, modern environments, and teach them these indigenous skills that we know in Southern Africa. And it's incredible because it's been life-changing for many people. And one of the focuses on bringing modern people from first world countries is to teach them the beauty of Africa, and also to show them how to track their spirit and how to track animals. So outer tracking is the area of the rangers and the safari guides that we have on the retreat. So on the first retreat, it's Alwyn Myberg, who's an incredible safari guide and tracker. And on the second retreat, it's Massimo Rubuzi, who's also an incredible tracker and safari guide. So we'll teach people how to track animals through the sand, and we'll teach them animal communication and interspecies communication. So between the inner and the outer tracking teachings, we are bringing an education, a masterclass in indigenous African medicine, so that people, when they go back to wherever they come from, they have a love of Africa, they have a love of the environment, and then they also know their own place in the environment and what they can do. So it's empowering. How can you make a difference in the world living in New York City? How can you make a difference to the environment and to the ecosystem? So we'll teach that and we'll show people. And in the first retreat in Botswana, the Dreams and Tracking retreats, we work alongside Khoisan Bushman people who are phenomenal trackers and incredible mystics and foragers. And they really show how much we've lost as modern people, but they also show what is possible and how we can reclaim our indigenous spirit so that we can actually also help the Bushman people of the Kalahari who are struggling so much right now. So I have this vision of modern and ancient man sitting around a fire and revisioning our future as human beings. And that vision came to pass. It manifested this year, actually, on one of my retreats, because one of the Bushman elders looked at me and he said, I want to go into your shrine tent. I want to see what you do with the people during the day. And I said, you're more than welcome. Please come. So the next day he came with these whole communities. There must have been about 12 people. And we all sat together around the fire in the shrine tent that I've made for meditation and for connecting to our ancestors. And we spent about 3 hours of prayer together, 3 hours of praying in all different languages. So it was Xhosa, it was French, it was English, it was Vietnamese, it was the Khoi language. Everyone was praying together. And then I played my drum and we sang together. And then I gave a gift to the Bushman elder, Rikau. Rikau is his name. And as I did that, there was this vulture that came flying really low towards the tent, and then it just came over just as we were holding hands. And I saw that as a very, very good omen, because vultures represent new beginnings, and they also represent medicine to help transform darkness and bring us into the light. So that vision of modern and ancient man sitting around a fire together, helping one another, is a vision that I hold for all my retreats.
I was still in the vision of modern and ancient wisdom being shared around the fire. And I would like to invite you to take us there with your guided meditation or drum journey for a few minutes so that we can all experience that feeling.
Sure. So the drum I'm using is what I call isigubo. It's a South African drum, and it's two-sided, so it's different from the West African djembe drum. So here it is. And so just give me a moment. So just feeling your heartbeat, feeling your connection to the land, wherever you are. So I like to start the guided meditation with the heart. So dropping into your heart, feeling your heartbeat. And if you can't feel your heartbeat, then just place your hand on your heart and take a few deep breaths directly into your heart. Closing your eyes, feeling your feet. And just letting go. Try not to be in control of anything. Just allow your breath to move in and out. And imagine that you're breathing in this golden elixir into the crown of your head. And you're breathing it into your body with every inhalation. And with every exhalation, you're breathing that golden elixir into the ground beneath you. So you're feeding the ground beneath you with soulfulness, with life, with consciousness. We are going to welcome in our ancestors together, the guardians and the wisdom keepers of the human race. Abazali bamo, bamo, yabazali bamo, bamo, yabazali bamo, bamo, yabazali bamo, bamo, hey, abazali bam, hey, abazali bam, hey, abazali bamo, bamo, hey, bamo, bamo, hey, bamo, bamo, hey, bamo, bamo, hey, abazali bam, hey, ya, abazali bam. So now I want you to take a moment to welcome in your people. So in your mind's eye, have a sense of turning to the left and welcoming in your mother's people. And in your mind's eye, have a sense of turning to the right and welcoming in your father's people with love, with respect, with devotion. Welcoming in your mother's people and your father's people. And then welcome in any adopted ancestors, so maybe your spouse's people and ancestors. Maybe it's teachers from different spiritual traditions that you're not connected to in blood, but they have given you soul food. So welcome them in. As I'm drumming, welcome in your ancestors and wisdom keepers. Welcome in your guardians. Yeah, 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 yeah. Fulen le la manyange, hey, fulen le la manyange, fulen le la manyange, hey, fulen le la manyange, fulen le la bazali bamu, fulen le la bazali bam, fulen le la bazali bamu, fulen le la bazali bam, hey, amanyange. Tamagwini amanyangi, hey, tamagwini amanyangi, tamagwini amanyangi, hey, tamagwini amanyangi. Hey, fulen le la bazali bamhu, fulen le la bazali bamhu, fulen le la bazali bamhu, fulen le la bazali bamhu. Tamagwini amanyangi, hey, tamagwini amanyangi, tamagwini amanyangi, hey, tamagwini amanyangi, hey, abazali bammo, hey, amanyangi. Breathe. Welcome in your ancestors with love, with devotion, with open-heartedness. Welcome in the plant and animal spirits that have come to you in your dreams. Welcome them in. salute them, honor them. Hey, abazali bamu, bamu, yabazali bamu, bamu, abazali bamu, bamu, yabazali bamu, bamu. Tamagwiyam nyange, tamagwiyam nyange, tamagwiyam nyange, tamagwiyam nyange. Hey, abazali bamu, hey, abazali bamu. And then we have a sense of looking upwards and welcoming in the divine, welcoming in the Great Spirit. And we say, Wamkelekile, Amanyange, no Tiko. We say, welcome in our ancestors, welcome in the Great Spirit, welcome in the divine ones to come and help guide us as human beings. Where may we stand tall with dignity, the way our ancestors want us to stand. May we stand tall with dignity, the way the environment and the spirits and plants want us to stand. May we know what our job is as human beings. So, feeling your feet, feeling your heartbeat, feeling your connection to life, feeling that electricity moving around you and inside of you, feeling that electricity in your heartbeat, and knowing that that electricity can heal. It can heal you, and it can heal the plant and animal worlds, and it can heal other people. That pulse of life inside of you is that sacred pulse. And as we connect to that, our dreams open. So I wish you well, and I hope that this guided meditation can be a blessing and a source of soulfulness for you and your people.
Thank you so much, John, for bringing us this sense of reverence and aliveness and hope and the ability or possibility to open up our dream world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I would like to ask you, is there something you would like to share with the audience about your work, something that's coming up, a workshop, a new program? This is an opportunity to do so if you have.
Well, my next programs would be my retreats, in Botswana, which is the Dreams and Tracking Retreats, and that's in February and March. And then the next is the Leopard Warrior Trail Retreat in May. So you can see both of those retreats on my website for 2024. And I've just actually finished a wonderful 7-week ancestral healing course with the Shift Network. And it was incredible. And it was very life-changing for many people, including myself. And it was wonderful working with the Shift doing this 7-week course. So if folks are interested in going deeper with my work in terms of ancestral healing and Ubuntu, then you can get one of those courses that I've just done. It'll be available online for a download on my website, but also on the Shift website. So just keep your eyes peeled for that ancestral healing course with me and the Shift. So I really enjoyed that. It's just recently finished, so I'm sure you'll be able to get a copy of that soon.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning all that. Now, John, given what we've talked about and what you have shared here, which was so rich, what is one thing you would like to leave the audience with today, or maybe a next step that our audience can take?
I think the next step for folks is to remember that you have a lot of power, and with power comes great responsibility. And the way we engage with the power is just to listen. So listen to your own dreams, listen to your heart, and listen to those people around you who you love, and even people you don't love. Listen to them. Because one of the problems we have nowadays is we don't listen enough because of the quickness of technology. And when you go into the African bush, one of the senses that you learn that we need to focus on more is the sense of listening, of hearing. Because in the animal world, and when you're walking in the bushveld, it's very quiet. It's incredibly quiet that you almost feel like you're walking in church or like the Garden of Eden. Because if you make a lot of noise, the animals go running, and their sense of hearing is so acute that that's how they find food, and that's how they run away from predators. So that sense of listening and hearing, how much do we listen and how much do we hear? So often we have to dumb down because there's so much noise coming in, whether it's through computers or social media or the outside world. But we have to be brave and we have to be courageous to listen, and then be brave in terms of what we are hearing, you know. So I wish the listeners lots of bravery on the joy of and the path of listening to the world. Because as we listen to the world, as we listen to the birds and we listen to the sparrows, they teach us so much. So what I'm talking about here is learning the language of nature. And the language of nature is not in the English language. It's not in the German language or the French or the Swahili or Xhosa or Mandarin. The language of nature is learning to listen to the sounds of the animal and plant beings, and watching the body language of the animals. Because as you start to listen, then you also start to take on and take in more information in terms of, oh, that animal is making a strange sound, but then its body was in a strange way. So you start to take on more from the world. So I wish that everyone can learn to listen more, and first be brave in terms of listening to yourself, because maybe there's certain things that you don't want to listen to, that you don't want to hear inside yourself. Maybe your pain, and maybe many things. So we first have to listen to ourselves, we have to listen to our dreams, and then listen to one another. I hope that's helpful.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much for your time, for making time to being here with us and your participation. What a delight. And also, I've learned so much. What a great session with John Lockley.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for listening and being here with us.